All right. Happy Saturday, everybody. Happy Saturday.
Happy
Uh,
Saturday.
that's my cousin.
Hey
Um,
guys.
so today I just wanna today I was very first off, happy birthday to everybody. Anybody celebrate birthday this week or celebrated last week, happy birthday. Um Happy anniversaries. I saw some of that on Facebook. So enjoy your weekend, enjoy the week, whatever it was. Um, I was like I said, I was kind of iffy about was I going to do a show today. Um, but then I was like, you know what? My uncle would want me to do it.
That's right.
And me and him had a great conversation. Some of you may know, some of you may not. I did, me and my other cousin, Steven, we did a show on the 10th about breaking generational cycles. And thankfully, my uncle joined the show towards like the end. And then we had like a 2-3 hour conversation after the show. And we talked about what we're going to be pretty much talking about today. This was part of our topic. And today with my cousin, and we're not just talking about our family, we're going to be talking about this overall in general, because this is so important. And it's about mental illness and depression in men. Y'all got to excuse my voice because I may still sound like a man from 2 weeks ago. I've lost my voice in Minnesota. So I'm still kind of hoarse trying to get it back together. But so I brought my cousin on, and soon her husband is going to be joining us a little later. And I wanted to do the show, and my Aunt Kim, shout out to my Aunt Kim, because she also was part of this topic as well. But the reason why I was supposed to have somebody else join me, which was a male, I was really trying to hear from the men. So guys, this is just part one. Next week, we're going to do part 2 to this. I really just wanted to hear from the men. My cousin is here. She's not a man, but she's pretty much been that woman that's been there to help that man, go through it, living it. So it's different when we could say it, but just living it, going through the process. And then as women also, right, cousin, dealing with our own trauma, our own depression, our own mental state.
Absolutely.
But and if you disagree to agree with me, cousin. Well, first let's introduce you, and let you introduce yourself. Where you at? Your name, and how you doing.
How you doing? Hey family. Hey everybody. My name is Juanita. My nickname is Suki, and Santa's my cousin, as she stated. And um I didn't agree to join her to say that like we're professionals or whatever and stuff like that, but because we have experienced this not only in ourselves or whatever and stuff, but in the men in our lives, in our family members, we thought that it was time to address it because especially our minority men, they are scared to, come out to say that they are feeling a certain type of way or have an issue, whatever. So anything that we can help through our experience, so we are just hoping to try to help somebody, and especially with our family as well.
So, and you know what, cousin, I'm glad that you brought that up too, because a lot of times men don't like to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not knocking any man.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like it's something that we really need to talk about. It does, go in our family from the men to the women.
Mm-hmm.
And, not pinpointing a certain race, but mainly in a Black community. Like, we're afraid to get help, especially with the Black men. They're afraid to say that they need to go see somebody.
Right.
And like I said, if you're Caucasian or whatever, please, because we're trying to understand everyone. Us, what does this go down in other cultures, religions, whatever? Because and so, like, this is for my uncle, y'all. This show is so for him, and I just want to thank him for just being a part of my life and just being that glowy smile that lit up the room. And I'm hoping that this will help change someone, a woman or man, or kid. This is even for your children.
Yeah.
Maybe even if you have teenagers, let them watch this show, because. And one thing, cousin, we're not professionals, but it's, and no disrespect to any professional.
Mm-hmm.
right? But I feel like it's so different when you could just sit there and counsel, which is great because I've met some amazing people. But when you
Yeah.
are living it or you see it within your own, it's different. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's what I mean. If you're talking from firsthand experience, not only dealing with it with yourselves, but your close loved ones or whatever, we're finding that all of this starts at childhood. It's
Yeah.
childhood trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder. Um, even with me, I saw my first murder at like what, 8, 10, 9 years old. And then after that, like I always stayed in the house. I used to go to the incinerator. We lived in the projects or whatever and stuff, and run back to my apartment backwards, thinking somebody was going to shoot me in my back. That's not normal for a child that age, And then people thought, I just never came out to play. I was a homebody or whatever and stuff. You carry that trauma with you. You carry, you know, people we know in our family, whatever and stuff, abuse with you. And then later on, when it turns out that you're trying to mask or hide that pain through drugs, alcohol, or what have you, you know, a lot of people are putting you down, ready to talk about you instead of saying, Dag, what are they trying to mask? What are they trying to, numb? There's some type of pain that they're trying to numb.
Yes.
And that's what we have to get to the bottom of before we lose, more of our people.
That is so true because we do. It's a masking, and instead of us asking or trying to figure out, like I said in the other show that I had, it's like, oh, that's just Uncle, Mike, whatever. He drink like that all the time. Like, that's just how he is.
Immune, used to it.
Yeah. And instead of sitting here when you notice those signs, like what's going on, like even though that somebody in the family got to look and be like, okay, this ain't right.
The unnormal becomes the norm because that's what we're used to seeing. Even if your parents were fighting, arguing, or whatever and stuff, it's like that's what you're used to seeing. But then you carry that also over into your relationships. The relationship that you have with your dad or whatever and stuff, you carry that over into the first man or looking for love in all the wrong places or whatever. That all needs to be addressed. Because you have to really be honest, and a lot of, especially our minority men, are not honest as to where this is coming from.
Yes. Yes.
It starts in the household where I heard my father tell my brother, put some bass in your voice or whatever. Like, they're telling it's not okay to show emotion. It's not okay to cry. So they're stifling all of that, and then when they get around their boys or whatever, they're supposed to act hard or, whatever, and stuff, to go through their teenage years or whatever. I'm not a punk, to fight their way through that. And then when they get into a relationship, I find that, and I think we're all probably guilty of this as women, that we going into a relationship, you allow that man to show his soft side, his vulnerable side or whatever and stuff. And he may tell you a lot of his issues or trauma because you created that safe space for him, and then a lot of women going through their own stuff or whatever, as soon as you get into an argument, they made it told you that they was molested or something or whatever. First thing you say, excuse my French, you faggot, whatever and stuff. Like, our mouths can be ruthless. We're so quick to throw that back at them, and then what do you expect them to do? Shut back down. I can't trust you or whatever and stuff. And then the cycle starts all over again.
And I think too, cousin, like there's two hurt people in this relationship. And so it's like one is trying to hurt the other and the other one's trying to hurt the other. And a lot of times men don't have anybody to go to.
Exactly.
And I remember with me, I have one son. He's 22 now. And growing up, he was, he's still a mama's boy, but not in that sense. And we take that expression of mama's boy, like, oh, he's my only son. I have 4 girls, he's my only son. But when he was younger, he's a kid. He's 2, 3, 4, and my brothers used to be like, stop crying, man up. You ain't supposed to be sitting here crying.
That's right. That's right. You're not allowed to show emotion.
Yeah, so I'll nurture him. What you holding him for? He failed. He could get back up. And I'm like, no, that's how, when you have kids, that's what, because I knew that I needed to let my son, even though he was young, find his own way, his own path. Oh, he'll punk. Oh, you gonna be a faggot? No expression, but that's, and I'm like, so what determines a boy turning gay? You know what I mean?
And a lot of time, right? And a lot of times, I mean, I understand, and I believe some people are genetically born that way, but a lot of times also they've been molested, You know,
Mm-hmm.
they may have to hide in a closet. A lot of men DL or whatever and stuff because of that. They don't know how to deal with those feelings. You know, they feel inadequate. They may feel at one point, if it's happening multiple times, that they had some type of pleasure and they didn't, they try to avoid that feeling because it's not normal, you know, and then they may turn that way or whatever. But then when they grow up, then they're called names or whatever, afraid to come out. You know, I saw a rant or whatever on Facebook and stuff, and it's like, tag, you know, people would laugh or whatever and stuff at them going off about being gay or whatever and stuff, or being called the F. But in that, they were saying that they were molested. You know, a lot of times that's what's happening or whatever. And then they're ostracized or separated because of their sexuality, instead of understanding the pain or whatever, how they got that way, and treating people just as a human being instead of what their preference is. Automatically, when you think of homosexual or whatever and stuff, the automatic thought process is the sexual orientate, the sexual part of it or whatever and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just saying why do they feel comfortable around a man, you know, or another sex or whatever. Women, vice versa. You know, there's different ways to, and then the drug thing or whatever and stuff, masking pain. I've been overweight all my life or whatever. You know, it can be masked with food too, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
stuff or whatever. But there's I've learned going through this process, you have to seek not only help, the right type of help, and it's okay to reach out to seek help. If you don't trust a family member, whatever stuff, there's professionals out there. You can look up anything on Google, find information, so steps or whatever. Depression is real, and a lot of times our family our our family is full of comedians, but I learned that the funnier you are, the more pain. Like, you know, a lot of times the class clowns and things like that or whatever,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
you're hiding that behind a lot of comedy, but you're
Yes.
hurting the worst.
Yes. I totally agree with you, cousin. I totally agree with that. And I think too, we gotta allow them to be vulnerable. Allow them to
Mhm.
trust you. You know,
But
allow
it's about,
that man to trust you to be able to open up, because a lot of times they've seen drugs and alcohol in their family abuse. They've seen
mhm,
their dad beating their mom, or vice versa, mom beating their dad. You know, they've been molested, as you said.
mhm,
Maybe they grew up around nothing but drugs. Maybe they
mhm.
grew up where mom was never home. You know,
Yeah.
so they had to raise themselves, because that's a big
Mhm,
part that has ran in our family. Um,
mhm,
maybe they saw their mom with men in and out of their homes. You don't
mhm.
understand their mental, and men don't discuss these things. They don't sit there
Right.
and they don't say, well, when I was younger, I was molested by my cousin, and I was, you
Mhm.
know, women are, even for women it's hard. So imagine how it is for a man, because they feel like, they have to be hard. They put on this stigma of they have to dress a certain way. So a lot of times black men especially are looked at as thugs,
Mm.
and they're not a
Mhm.
thug. They just are presented. Maybe they've been molested, but the only way they know how to put their manhood is on,
That,
is to
yeah.
dress, as they say, thuggish.
It's
And
gonna make me look
it's gonna
hard
be
per se.
persona.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
really, they are the most sweetest and loving, but they just don't know how to show that. And a lot of times, like you said, we'll call them out their name to hurt people hurting
Or
each other.
use something that they may have said to the woman or whatever and stuff, so quick to use that against them. You can't
Mhm.
beat them with your fist or whatever. You're going to beat them with your words. And that's the number one thing for us minority women or whatever, you know, we can become good at that, cutting with your words and stuff. But I found that that's worse than physical abuse, because you can heal a scar, but you can't
Yes,
take back what you said.
yes,
You know, so I think a lot of times it has to start with us, not only with our husbands, our sons, our grandkids or whatever and stuff, to break that cycle, because I've seen it go on like repeatedly so many times that we laugh at them or whatever and stuff, you know. My aunts and stuff, you know, all of my aunts have been strong. You know, I've never remember any time that my aunt would really have a man or whatever control it, you know, take advantage of them or whatever and stuff, which is good for us to instill and everything. But at the same time, there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance. And we have to create a safe place for our brothers, for our cousins, our men, or whatever and stuff, to be able to be vulnerable, to be honest, and feel that they can trust us with that information. And then
I,
and where do we go from here? Where can we, because we can't really save them. We try to be the mothers, the nurturers, the sisters, the aunts, we try to be so many things to so many people that sometimes there's not anything left for us.
Yeah, that's the truth right there. You ain't never lied.
Draining our energy, and stuff. So we would have maybe the resources or whatever. Maybe we can, because a man won't do it, to see where they can get the help or whatever and stuff with whatever it is they're going through. Because sometimes they may need a third party that might not know anything about them, But again, it has to be the right counselor. I've been through a lot of counselors or whatever and stuff until I found the right one. When you find that right one, it's so worth it.
And I think too, though, cousin, like, I think this is another thing. And correct me if I'm wrong, cause like anybody, like, cause this is an open discussion. I feel like the healing not only begins with yourself as a woman, but since we're talking about the men, it starts with the healing of the process from your family. So we'll try to sit there and heal our man. You get what I'm saying?
Before we hit,
Before we try to heal someone in our family. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of times, right? A lot of times a man wants to be the king of his home. He wants to rule, he's the head of the household, right? And the reason why I'm doing this is because how can you rule a household? How can you be a king of a castle when you're broken? You can't help to lead your woman, your kids. You get what I'm saying? So it's like the blind leading the blind. So you can't, if they're not dealing with all of those mental issues. Now, every relationship have their issues. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
When abuse becomes in, they're verbally abusive. Find out why they're verbally abusive. You're doing all of that to try to find out about him, but yet your brother is hurting. Your cousin is hurting. Your uncle is hurting. You know what I'm saying? You think that that's okay because you have been in that circle of seeing the hurtness in your family.
And you think that, because you might be doing in a relationship or whatever, they got a woman or whatever, they know what to do, they handle that and stuff. Yeah. But you're absolutely right. And a lot of times you don't even know what may have happened to your sibling or whatever and stuff like that, because it's been hidden for so long until you're an adult or whatever. It might come out in an argument. It might come out during a breakdown, and stuff like that. And then, you're like, what do I do with this information? You're dealing with everything on both ends. It's a lot because we try to fix everything and everybody. So I think we do have to start with ourselves. Sometimes it requires for them to be kind of broken down to help build them back up. But it has to be some type of process or whatever and stuff in an easier way than how it's been going.
I agree.
So
what do you think that, because like I see it in our family. So we only talking about because we know our family, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that other people that are watching need to look into their family. Look, pay attention. Don't close a blind eye, because as women, we're more open to talk about it than a man. And a lot of times the brokenness in the men are going to continue, and it's going to continue, and it's going to continue. And that cycle is the women are healing themselves, but the men aren't. I'm sorry, but the men aren't. The men are they're not healing themselves. So in that sense, and I'm saying from our family, and correct me if I'm wrong, because from our family, if you look at the men, and I'm not saying the women are better than the men, I'm just saying if you see the cycle, no matter what, the women slowly but surely are beginning their healing processes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so they're elevating, right?
Children, it's showing on our children, but then you see the men, and it's like
baby boys. Like a lot of times, baby. It's funny, but it's sad, and stuff, because I think men in a family, we're supposed to go to them to look up to, whatever. I think they come to us more for strength and advice or whatever stuff, or whatever we can provide. And I think that if the men not only in our family get together without that competition mentality or whatever and stuff, or even get with other men, they would find that even men outside of the family, whatever, just getting together as men and being honest, how so much trauma is relatable to a lot of people.
Yeah,
probably 1 out of 2 that they can feel relaxed or whatever, like, dag, he went through the same thing or whatever and stuff. And when you find that person that you can relate to, you can talk about your feelings or whatever and stuff. But I don't care if it's a friend, a cousin, a brother, whatever and stuff, it has to be released because they're masking the pain through drugs, alcohol, or whatever. You know, and that's taking you away from your kids, taking you away from your maybe a good woman. You know, you probably have already lost a good woman behind it. You know, so it has to be addressed before it's too late. This 2020 is no joke. It's taking everybody, you know. And I'm just so grateful to even wake up, you know, today to even share this or whatever, like whatever we can say to spark somebody or whatever to try to seek the help or just to start somewhere, you know, it is worth it.
And I want to go back to say, like we said, like my cousin said earlier, like we're not professionals. We just bring up a topic that is so important that we need to discuss. Right. And it's important to try to have a conversation with maybe your brother. Let's start with that, or your cousin, someone that you're close to, and you never know what has trickled down in the family. You get what I mean? Because I'll always use Uncle John, but say Uncle John molested, you know, maybe a girl. That doesn't mean that he didn't molest any of the boys in the family. Molester is a molester. You know what I mean?
People hurt people. So it can be trickled down. Yeah.
And you don't know how that trickled down. And I think a lot of times, and I'm going back to the Black community, is that Black men deal with a lot. False incarceration, racial profiling, you know, trying to get a job with a degree or without, and they still can't get it. They can have a master's degree, and it's still hard for them to get a job than for someone who else is Caucasian to go in for the job and get, or they could get the job, but they'll get paid less to take care of the family. You know, it's just a lot that that is already put on them. So it's like, imagine having all of that with the world against you. It's already like you already got shots on your back, you know, and then you're dealing with all your mental issues and you don't know how to deal with it. So now you're going into a society as a broken down individual, you know, already, you know what I mean? You're broken and you're going into a broken society who's already judging you for you just being a Black man, you know? So how do you, and then you can't tell nobody that you experienced any trauma, because then sometimes even myself, I'm like, who gonna listen to me?
Who's gonna care? Right. And I think that when they have all of that to deal with on the outside, you know, police brutality, you got to be afraid to get even pulled over, whether you have your license or not, as a Black man. And then to come home and not have your home as your safe place or a place of peace, you know, he can't be fighting the world out there and coming home fighting his woman too, you know. So what kind of comfort or safe zone are you creating for him to release those feelings or release that stress? And that's what we have to ask ourselves as women in their lives or whatever and stuff. How are we making this easier for him to be that man that he needs to be for us, or be that man that he needs to be for, you know, his children?
All right, so don't kill me what I'm about to say, because y'all probably be like, was she just saying this? I'm going to just say this part though too, because this is something that I see from women. Now, let me tell you, just know this, that doesn't mean to tolerate abuse. That doesn't mean to tolerate to tolerate everything on you just to make a man see his own worth. You get what I'm saying? So I just want to put that out there. I was one of those domestic violence women, survivor of domestic violence, and I was with someone, and I tried everything in my power to make him see, but it didn't stop the abuse. You know what I mean? It didn't stop it. So just know the difference between, that's my man. I'm sure he been through some trauma. Let me be there to help, because I know he a good man, but that's the difference in being there to, helping each other just build a better home, rather than, just accepting abuse. But I could do better. I just gotta love him more. Or I just, you can't, some men you just can't help. And it's not your duty to become this broken woman, and more broken than you already are, to save a man. So I did just wanted to say that part.
I'm glad you said that, because I learned the hard way going through abusive relationship in my previous relationship, and he's cheating and doing this or whatever and stuff, and I'm saying young stupid thoughts. Oh, well, my grandparents was married so many years or whatever and stuff, so I'm going to say this is what they had to go through in order to get where they are. He used to say stuff like, oh, my mother left me, my father left, now you leaving me, whatever. That manipulation, the guilt, the physical abuse or whatever and stuff. And it's like, I thank God for my daughter, because when I had my daughter, I looked at her like, I do not want her to think that this is the way that a man is supposed to treat you, and that's what gave me the strength to leave. It wasn't easy, and stuff, but I noticed that the more you stay in an abusive relationship like that, whatever, your self-esteem is, and stuff, but it's nothing like after you find yourself. And that's another important thing. Do not ever lose yourself in a relationship or a man.
And that's why it's important too, like we said, because to find it, to know you can't help or heal anybody if you haven't helped and healed yourself.
That's
because
right.
if you broken trying to help somebody else who's broken, y'all gonna be too broke.
Energy out of you. Right. Too broke down.
Now we
Right. When you get to the point in your life where you can live with a man, you don't have to live with him, but you're still happy and at peace with yourself. You don't care what anybody else thinks or feels about you, whatever, because you have to realize it's not your feelings, it's theirs. If they have an issue, it's their issue or whatever. The mature thing is to bring it to the forefront or whatever and stuff. And I still deal with that, some things or whatever. I'm so good at just turning my head or just ignoring whatever the issue is, whatever the people I love, too, because it's like I'm still dealing with conflict. And I noticed that in a lot of our Black men or whatever, they don't want confrontation. They don't want conflict. It's better to just keep moving or whatever, and not deal with it. But I noticed that, and I say this to my husband all the time, no, we're not going to sweep stuff under the rug or whatever. I don't like piling. I'm like, how can I do that with him? And I still have issues that I have to deal with or whatever, that's I swept under the rug. So it's time to lift that rug and sweep everything out, lay everything on the table, and if it is a toxic situation that you're dealing with or whatever, even with family members, sometimes you have to let go with love.
Exactly.
You can still love them, but just not deal with any toxic behavior. And that goes for myself as well.
You're right, cousin. You know what I say? I'll be like, if you need me, I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, I love you. I love you, but I'm working on me right now.
Right. I'm still working on.
I'm like, don't call me. Don't do it. You don't want to do all of that.
Right.
Relationships. It's not what you say; it's how you say it.
How you say it.
Auntie Kim, Auntie Denise, Savania.
Hey, Auntie. Hey, family.
So yeah, I totally agree with you, cousin. Because I'm like, I've learned, like, because sometimes I'm a person where I've been through so much. I'd be like, man, I can put that under the rug. You know what I mean? But then I realized later on it's all piled up on me. And I'm like, I want to bring everything from other. Let's
get it out. I think with me is like, I'm kind of like a private person and stuff. People will assume or whatever what I'm going through. A lot of people won't know what I'm going through. Yes, but I feel like, okay, Facebook is not going to be my platform to tell them what I'm going through. They may not know whatever and stuff. I haven't been able to walk since January. I have a walker, and stuff or whatever and stuff with my knees and everything. But I'm also dealing with other family issues. I'm dealing with, it's like we have so much on our plates. Don't assume that we know how you feel or know what you're thinking or whatever and stuff. Sometimes it's just not a priority when you're dealing with so much other stuff, pain, things under the rug or whatever, as you said, but you can love everybody, but there's a time and place, and just a lot of stuff that we have to get out.
I just want the men, like I said, if you're a woman watching, please show this to a brother. Show this to, and it's not even about a race, but a lot of times, like I know in a Black community, like I said, if you white, you're whatever nationality, Asian, whatever. I want to know, how does it work in other cultures? Because are we the only ones that's like this? Is our brothers the only ones that's hurt in this? You know what I mean? Because I know already with the racial profiling and police brutality, but then again, it's like they're also going through this brokenness internally. You know, I know, and Suki, you know, you also have a mixture of because you know Dominican, you
Puerto Rican.
and so it's like in the Spanish culture. Let's go to that part for a moment in the black in the community with this with depression. So I know for sure in the DR and in Puerto Rico, like the Spanish culture, it's forbidden. Like you cannot be, you will be disowned being gay. And you know, in the community, at least you will have some parents that be like, you know, I love my kid, I don't care. But in the Spanish culture,
totally disowned.
Totally disowned. So it's such a secret that men molest boys because that's who they are, or it's been done to them. So such a secret hush hush that you're not allowed to even, you can't tell nobody, because now you are really belittled and they'll disown you. Even if a man molested you, you're automatically gay and you're automatically disowned. So what do you think about that part?
I think Puerto Ricans and any Hispanic or whatever and stuff, and I heard it in Jamaica too, the men deal with so much pride, and they feel like that's a representation of them, or a representation that they failed as a father, you know, and stuff, and how did my son end up quote unquote soft or whatever, you know, and stuff. And it's like so stifled, you know, as far as one track mind in a way of thinking, because you're like, you know, you're supposed to be this way and that's that, instead of thinking of them as a human being and this is what they feel or whatever, and embracing them. And that also goes into why we're talking about drug abuse and things like that or whatever and stuff, because they have to deal with rejection from their family because they can't be themselves. So can you imagine living your life with not being able to come out and be who you are, that you have to live with the mask on and not being loved by your own family? So how can you expect to be loved by society? So you're already feeling rejected when you're out there in the world, you know? So what are you going to do? You're going to medicate it, you know? Yeah. You're going to turn to a man that says that they love you or whatever and stuff and abuse you.
Drugs and alcohol too is such a suppressor. I used it to suppress. Guilty, you know,
to numb the pain.
Guilty, and it and for those moments, it numbed all of those tears. But at the same time, I woke up still jacked up, even more jacked up.
Yeah, the problems are still there. Right? You can get morning, just wake up with a headache. Right? It's a temporary relief for something that needs to be dealt with. And it's like an escape from dealing with everyday life issues. A lot of men are not taught to deal with day-to-day life issues. It could be something simple, of a job rejection or something like that. You know, they're not taught to deal with their feelings because, again, fathers or whatever and stuff, they're taught to suppress. Put some bass in your voice or whatever. What you crying for? Blah, blah.
You'll be all right, boy. Go over there and sit down somewhere, you know?
Right. You know, and everybody around them is laughing like it's a joke, you know. Be guilty of it or whatever and stuff is happening in our family. But when you deal with them as a grown individual and how they're functioning with their family or with their siblings or not being the father and things like that and stuff, you know, what do you do then? Because guess what? If it's not addressed, the cycle is going to keep repeating and you're going to wonder why it keeps happening over and over again. We always used to say we have to break this family curse. We don't have a magic potion or whatever on how to do it, but it has to start somewhere.
Yes, definitely. One thing I want to say too, and because I really want to touch a little base upon in general from each aspect. I think too, a lot of times, that this is just from my observation and talking to men, a lot of times men do go to church to try to heal they try to find a religion. You know, to kind of actually cope with it. And at the end of the day, they're still hurting. Not to say, you know, nothing against a religion, but they're not communicating with it. And so a lot of times I've found, like say there's men, and you when you're hurt as a woman, you could kind of, and if you put your emotions to the side, because you got to do that sometimes, ladies. You got to put your emotions to the side sometimes,
right.
and say, because if you could put that to the side, you could see more of that man's hurt and pain. You don't got to know everything, but you could see more. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's okay to like express that. Sometimes if it takes you to pray for them, you don't got to be a praying wolf. Maybe you're not that person. You know what I mean? Because I hear, I ain't doing it. No, sometimes you gotta do that. Sometimes you can sit down. I'm not a golf, but I'll sit down with my husband because he likes to watch golf, and I'll teach me about it. That's how I learned about football. You know, so even if you got to start with those little things, be his religion, if that makes sense. You get what I'm saying, cousin? Like, be that person. If it's God, if it's whatever, find those things that's gonna help him and mask with him to kind of help him find a better him, and along with you finding a better you. But in church, you'll see the men are even afraid to shout, you know what I mean? Because they're like, everything is emotion. Who's watching me? Who's that woman that is cool? Let that man know that it's okay. If he want to go to church and shout and say hallelujah, whatever, let him do that. If he feel like he want to go play golf, let him go play golf. But as long as he's putting himself in an environment that's besides drugs and alcohol, that he can kind of help himself. Let him know that you're there to listen to. Because if you're going to listen to him about football and golf and all of that, eventually he'll come around to you and he'll talk to you about those little things, little by little. You get what I'm saying?
Yes. It can be inserting yourself in doing something that's uncomfortable for you. For example, my husband, when he first came home years ago from prison or whatever and stuff, he wanted to go back to the hood, mother, whatever and stuff, and go in his hood, and he wanted to go to every bar, and I didn't do bars. You know what I'm saying? I went with him, and not judging or whatever and stuff, but sometimes you can be there with him as the partner or whatever and help him see another side. And I would look around, having my drink or whatever and stuff. And one day I said to him, I said, babe, just look around sometimes or whatever. It's a devil's playground, I said that to him, and not to judge him. I kept going or whatever and stuff until he came back to me.
I'm sorry, God, I had to pull up.
He came back to me and was like, Dad, babe, I seen what you was saying. It's a devil's playground, and stuff, what you gonna go there to do? And you can go socialize or whatever and stuff, have your drink or two. But a lot of times you getting drunk, going home with somebody's husband, fighting, judging people, whatever and stuff. And I'm not only saying that in a bar environment or whatever and stuff, in any kind of negative environment that you're in. Sometimes it takes you to put yourself, or like you said, doing something that he's interested in or whatever, if it's not healthy for him, not judging him, but just kind of making a statement, and allowing him to observe himself and make his own decision.
Yeah, because we can't control him. You know what I mean? Exactly. You can't control him. Still let him be who he is. But I like that you pointed out in a healthy way. You get what I'm saying? For him to see that, like, babe, look at this, but you could be like, you came so far, and I'm so proud of you. And
I'm like, okay, get it out. What you gotta do, whatever and stuff, but we ain't gonna stay here.
Yeah.
And one day, he some two guys was arguing with him or whatever and stuff. He had a couple, him and his friends out there, whatever, and I'm sitting out there, and the guy had the gun in his pants and had his shirt up like he trying to show him, my husband didn't care, all of his face, mushing him and everything or whatever. And I'm just like, I keep saying, if I was not there, he wouldn't have came home, to diffuse the situation or whatever and stuff. But like, you're not in your right state of mind when you're high or drinking or whatever, and stuff. So how can you make adult decisions when you're in that state all the time?
Yeah. Yes. I'm so grateful because, I was able to, talk to my uncle and have those I've had conversations with him when he was intoxicated heavily. And I was so grateful to have those conversations with him, clean and sober as a whistle. And understanding, because we would talk and, tell me everything and I could tell him anything. And, stuff that you'd be like, you talking to your uncle about that? I could talk to him about sex and everything. And we just, because one thing about the men in our family is that they are like, but inside they're so soft,
Yeah, they are.
They show it to certain ones in the family.
Right. And it'll come out in a funny way, and stuff, because every last one of them is hilarious and stuff. But if you really listen, they breaking something down to you, You're gonna learn something from what they saying. Peep the game.
Like him always say to me, it takes a strong woman, a woman to love men in our family, because they are battling so much. You get what I mean? And right. I think too, we've been ignoring the issues for so long that it trickled down, because I think back to great uncles, and the things that I've saw with my uncles, I remember seeing it with my great uncles. You know what I mean? So even back then, it's just like, that's just what he be doing. Yeah, just out there being a hoe. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or he does and I'm like
it's normal. Like it's normal. That's what they supposed to do. But then when you think about your son or your grandson, is that how you would like them to be? And stuff like, where is it going to stop where you're going to say, this isn't right, let me change? Sometimes it might be with their own child, or they might be prideful that they're acting the same way. I've noticed relationships with fathers and sons where I'm thinking that the father is like, how dare them try to be more successful than me and help him sabotage, jealousy between the father and son. Like, I didn't do shit with I didn't do nothing with my life or whatever and stuff. How dare you try to elevate?
Yes.
And it's sad. It's sad. And I think it's like that with a lot of our Black men in the community, like they say, crabs in a barrel. I saw this meme, and it's not only with Black men or whatever, anybody that's going through something or whatever and stuff. And it was Black men on their knees and like a big Monopoly board on their backs. And the men were like playing Monopoly or whatever, or chess on the board. And the meme said, wouldn't it be something? All we got to do is stand up. Isn't that deep? And game over. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, it's like that with this as well. All you have to do is stand up. Standing up is just being honest about what's going on with you, but also making sure that you're in a safe and judge-free environment so you can feel free to share that, because it's no need of sharing it with somebody that's just going to carry it or whatever.
That's important.
Got to stab you in the back.
That's important. I think that's the most important part. Real quick, Kim says Muslim religions don't play with this gay matter neither, but the support I guess they have for each other is there to build men when others are very little help. So I think though, is that we are having to find a healthy way to let the men know that we're there for them. Give them
that they are loved, and a lot of them don't feel that way.
Sometimes, let me tell you something, y'all. They take out the garbage. Just sit there and say, babe, thank you for taking out the garbage. I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying?
I say that all the time. You're right. And my husband's like, stop thanking me. That's my job. No, I need to let you know that you're appreciated. It can be something so small. I appreciate you. And sometimes that goes a long way. That'll have them smiling all day, because they know that what they're doing is not in vain, or you're not taking advantage of them.
And I think another thing too, when we talked about this too, cousin, is we can't love people the way that we want to love them. We have to love them how they want to be loved. And I think that that's a huge problem, because a lot of times we love people the way that we want to love them, not knowing how we need to love them the way that they want to be loved. Because when a person has been through so much pain and trauma, addictions, incarcerations, secrets that they hold within themselves, sexual trauma, especially with men. We're so busy trying to love them. Well, I cooked, so what? I don't care. We got some last night. Sex is not the healer of everything.
That's
because
right.
A lot of times a man is just having sex with you because that's what you want.
That's right.
But sometimes just want to really sit there and cuddle. You get what I'm saying? So I think that it's just really understanding each other and really having those deep conversations. Why not say, go. I tell men sometimes, I'd be like, even my kids, their friends, whatever. I'd be like, did you ever, because they talk to me about their stuff. And I'd be like, did you ever think about going and having therapy? And they're like, and I'm like, yeah.
It's weird to them.
But it's a taboo topic, though, in our community.
Right. And Kim said sex is and was a drug as well. That's so true. As well, to give men acceptance because they have nothing else to feel proud about. So they rip and run, but all they need is that compliment and affection. That's so true. It's more than that. That's why men can rip and run and hop in this bed and that bed or whatever and stuff and not feel nothing. They say it's different for a woman to lay down whatever and stuff because, emotionally you're putting your heart on the line or whatever and stuff. But that's why it's so, it is a temporary high for a man. A woman can stroke their ego, whatever, they lay it down and they keep it moving. But when you get to that heart, when you get to that core, that friendship and somebody that he can trust, that so-called ride or die, whatever and stuff, somebody that he can always depend on, and that respect, that's not going nowhere.
Yep.
That's not
sometimes though, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm not giving any excuses, but a lot of times, even if they do go somewhere, just saying, because it's possible to happen.
Absolutely.
A lot of times though, we still are lacking to find the whys, the solution. A lot of times as women, let's keep it 100, we focus on the problems of the relationship or of that man, and we're not looking at the solutions or the positiveness, the positivity of him. So it's like, we're focused, like you said, if we find out that he was molested, you gay ass MFer, you know what I mean? We'll throw that out. That's why whatever you confided in them, you alcoholic, you fucking bum ass, we'll go through all that.
They're not working for a year, so working throw it in the trunk as weapons, and it tears them down even more.
Yes, and then they're not going to confide in you. That's number one. Number two, we don't sit there and say, "Babe, you sure smelling good today." You know what I mean?
Right.
Send him a quick text message. You ain't got to always be in his face.
That's right.
Babe, I'm just thinking about you today. Write him a little note. Make him some lunch. Surprise. Everything is not in a sexual being. And I think because sex is so put out there that you can have great sex and everything else will be dead. Everything else will be dead, but you can have great sex. So then you're losing out. But if you got everything else and the sex comes and goes, that's how it is. You get older. You ain't trying to bend your back over like you used to.
That's where you gotta have something else to fall back on. I tell and with relationships, marriages or whatever, even relationships, siblings or what have you, I say that we're so quick to say so and so did me wrong, or even with marriages or whatever, you're so busy pointing the finger at each other. And I tell my daughter this all the time. I said, even if you feel somebody was 99% wrong, because you can't change people, you can only change yourself. You focus on the 1% because it takes two in every entanglement, any argument or whatever. You focus on the part that you played and you fix that. It's not your responsibility to fix somebody else. You fix you. So if you know that argument with your husband or whatever was unhealthy, or with your boyfriend or whatever and stuff, dag, why I say that, I went too far, I hit below the belt or whatever and stuff, then you're mindful. You have to know how to apologize. Don't let your ego take over. A lot of times with my husband, I'll tell him, babe, I am sorry, not for what I said, because I'm a Sagittarius. I'm really blunt, and I'll get what I need to say out there. But I'll have to tell him, I'm sorry, not for what I said, but how I delivered it. Even if it's that, you know. Um, and another thing I say, even with men, when you don't feel comfortable to go to another person, or if you're out there about to make a decision, whether it's cheating, drugs, or whatever and stuff, and I don't mean to throw religion. Everybody has their own religion or higher power. And I tell my daughter this all the time. If you're ever stuck at a crossroad or a decision, you just ask yourself, what will God do? You're always going to make the right decision. Or what will your higher power do? So
I like that one, cousin. I like that one, definitely. Auntie Denise says also sex can be love for them. That's the only love they feel, and that is so true.
That's true. That's
I gotta agree with that one 100% because even I think that's with a lot of times people think because people have sexual trauma, or something that they're gonna abstain from sex. Sex is not, but in the honest and in actuality, is not what people may think. They turn to sex for healing, for love.
That's the only thing they know.
It feels good because they don't know the difference in between the two. You know what I mean? So
that's the only affection that they received, whether it's bad or not. That's the only thing that's going to identify with love, because they like, okay, my father didn't love me besides laying me down in the bed or whatever. So that's the only connection that I have with love, which is not real, of course, and stuff. It's sad. And Kim said, men have daddy issues just as much as we do.
That's so true.
They need security to feel strong, but their daddies are weak and broken. So the son is another generation of broken men. And here we are in all these broken families because he don't know how to get help or ask for it. Absolutely. And that's why I keep saying it starts from the household. A lot of men, especially nowadays, aren't even in the families because they left or whatever and stuff, or are incarcerated, might have turned to another man or whatever. And then what is that boy supposed to? He's growing up feeling like my daddy didn't want me, or why was I not enough for him to love me, or see his mother struggling, working 2 and 3 jobs. A lot of times they're not even finishing school because they want to go out there to hustle to make sure that their mother's not struggling, or they're looking for love in the wrong places, laying down with girls, all these teenage pregnancies or whatever. And they got to get out there and hustle or get a job to support their babies, and the cycle continues.
Yes, definitely. I think too that talking about, I think as moms too, because I've done this with my kids too, and it's not being ashamed to tell your truth. Not being ashamed to say, this is what it is. This is what happened. This is why, I decided not to do X, Y, Z. You know what I mean? Or I did this, or this is what I saw. This was what I saw in my family. So this is what I'm doing to break the cycle. So it's so they know why you're doing it, and they understand. Like, mom is not perfect. Mom smoked weed. You know what I'm saying?
I tell my daughter, it's that humiliating. That word humiliation, that goes a long way, because that stops you a lot of times from being honest, whether it's with your kids, your spouse, or whatever. You have to learn, and that's what I mean. That's part of being broken down. Learn to be humiliated by being honest, and once you can deal with your own honesty, nobody touch you. You know what I'm saying? You can say what you want.
Take a look to see they ugly. You know what I mean? A lot of people are afraid. They can look at all the good in themselves, but when they do a self-evaluation of themselves, they don't want
to get all that filth out. So lay all your filth on the table.
Yes.
That's what 2020 and this whole quarantine or whatever and stuff. If it's such a bigger picture, if y'all understand what I'm saying.
Yes, because
God knows what he's doing. This was time to look at yourself in the mirror and get out your own dirt. We was forced to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, what am I not doing right that I need to fix? What is God giving me a second chance for that I need to fix? And a lot of times it's so painful to take that finger and point it at yourself.
Yes.
And get your stuff out. But once you do that and you get over That pain is the best healing, the best release ever. And as long as you can be honest and be proud of your honesty, because guess what? No man is better than the other. No woman is better than the other. We all got stuff in our closet or whatever,
You're
and stuff
jacked up.
that we got to deal with. You know,
Yeah.
Once you realize that and you can relate, hey, she's going through the same thing I'm going through. It may be different time and space or whatever and stuff, but you can relate that we're not perfect.
Yeah. And I think that's the number one thing overall. I think understanding, loving you, and being truthful, but also not being judgmental. How can you not? I'm not going to judge him if he tell me, but yet you're judging yourself. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, everything really just begins with you as an individual, and then you're able to help that person, whether it's your brother, whether it's your cousin, uncle, whomever, because drugs and alcohol is an addiction. Sex is an addiction. A lot of times they be like, "Oh, he getting all the girls, yo." You know what I'm saying? But people look at it like that, but something is going on for him to feel like he has to have multiple women to feel loved and valued. Maybe he's lacking value in himself.
As soon as I see somebody like that, like a play or whatever, automatically low self-esteem, pain. You need multiple people to validate who you are, because you don't know how to do that for yourself. Because I feel like a good man is a confident man, that you are so confident in yourself that you know that what you have is worth to give one woman. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because you don't need multiple women to validate you as a man or a human being. You need to deal with other issues. That's not going to validate who you are. And sometimes those dudes that wear masks or whatever, you see right through them.
And I want to talk to the men too, because I want to see, what is it that we can, like, what is it? Talk to us. Let us know, like, what? Because a lot of times, even as women, we think that is us, and in reality, it's not.
Right. And that's when you go into the phase of abuse, that you allowing them to manipulate you to feel that you're doing something wrong, and you try harder to do everything right, and they keep taking advantage of that they know that they know what buttons to push or whatever and stuff to make you bow or make you kneel, and you have to realize your self-worth, to I call it setting respectable boundaries. I love you, but not enough for you. I don't have to take this abuse. You are in control of what you accept. Like I said, if you don't want to be a doormat, pick yourself up off the floor.
And I think, cousin, because I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to play a little music, and then we're going to come right back. And one thing that I want to say is that you can't see value in someone else if you don't see the value in self. And a lot of times you can't love a man, your brother, your cousin, your uncle properly when you're lacking of loving yourself. Because a lot of times it's not just that man that's hurting. It's especially when it's in your family. It's something in your family that is hurting. You get what I'm saying? It's not about hurt. It's not about just one individual. It's about that whole. So like for me and my kids, if my kids see me hurting, they're hurting. If I see them hurting, they're hurting. If we were homeless, guess what? It wasn't just me homeless. We all have that experience of homelessness. So it's just dealing with the issues overall and not being afraid to talk about it.
Humiliation. It's okay. It's okay.
And a lot of times, like, I used to be ashamed of everything that happened to me in my past, my childhood. Like, I was afraid to tell people because I was so ashamed of, like, was it my fault? I didn't want people to judge my mom. And, I was just going through all of this stuff. And then as I got older, I had to heal. And I cried so many nights, so many nightmares. And then now it's like, okay, now I'm able to discuss it, talk about it. And knowing that it's my testimony, and that's what I want people to know. Men, listen, it's your testimony. Part of your healing process is to talk about it. And it don't got to be all at one time. Talk about something small. Work your way up. Confide in one person. If you can't confide in some person, seek therapy. Therapy is not, a taboo. If you want the true healing, go. If you're drinking and you have an addiction, go get help. I don't care if, my cousin Steven talked about it, so it's no secret. On the last show, he was in and out of rehab. And it took that last time, and he got it together. 3 years clean, So if you got to go 4 times, guess what? It's making an attempt. You're going little by little. You're learning. I've been through maybe 6 different therapies, and I will leave every time. Because I didn't know how to handle it. So it's okay. Just start somewhere. Start playing. Try to work out. Go for a walk. Go for a run. Learn how to cook. Something.
Keep a journal. I
love journals.
Yeah, it releases. It's so therapeutic. What you said, it reminded me of the movie, Medea's movie, Medea Goes to Jail. It was a certain part in the movie or whatever when the woman was like, it's about realizing that you're the victim, but not staying in that place. Yes. And what you said before about, forgiving is not for them, it's for you. So it's like you have to, it's just like with the meetings and stuff, they say you have to first be honest that you have a problem, whatever. Just be honest that you are a victim. You're not the one to blame. And that, but guess what? I'm a victim. I'm not ashamed to say I'm a victim. But guess what? I'm not going to stay here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stay here. And it's just about taking those first steps to heal. Maybe the same people will still be doing the same thing or whatever and stuff, but don't give them the power over your life.
Yep. Say it. And Kim says, quarantine with God and save you first. Yes, we all are dirty and need cleansing love and access to recourse for healing. That's right, guys. So right now I'm gonna play real quick because we gotta shout out some people. Go to More Tea Awareness. That is my cousin. I don't have the shirt on today, but I always have his shirt. Check him out. I'm always posting it on my page. I'll be posting it again today. Also go to check out Deja Delights. So she's in the South Jersey Central area, so New Jersey, with cupcakes, parties, birthday cakes, and everything like that. Also, let's shout out my cousin who also does photography out in PA. So we're gonna be putting that stuff, the links and stuff up there. So if you're in the area, check it out. I'm gonna be posting some of her pictures, and she does an amazing job. That's my cousin Suki's daughter, and I gotta get mine because she's on my professional photos. So we gotta.
She's doing my 50th photo shoot in a few weeks.
Yes. So and right now I'm gonna be playing Tay Edmonds. It's called Superwoman. So check him out. He's on YouTube, Apple Music, platforms, music platforms everywhere. So we're gonna play a little bit of him. We're gonna take a little break, y'all, and we're gonna be right back. Let me put this up here.
It's like you dying up inside, you just hope for change. This is like your book, but you can't write your page. You feeling like an animal, you locked up in the cage. Oh God, I wanna see this queen smile again. While she on this lonely road walking miles again. She feeling like she all alone, she don't have a friend. But it's gonna be okay, you just gotta stay strong. Baby girl, I can tell that you working hard. And every night you on your knees, you try to talk to God. I know these bills is killing you like you don't have a job. But you wake up every morning and you go to work.
Every night you pray to God. I know that right now it's hard. You just gotta stay strong. You'll make it through the storm. You just put your cape on and you fly like a dove. 'cause you're a superwoman. You're a superwoman. You're a superwoman. You're a superwoman.
Yeah, all her life she been trying to fight. She was always insecure, she never felt love. The last man that she had always put her down. But I want her to listen to me, baby, rock your crown. And always be proud who you are, 'cause you a shining star. You don't need a fancy house or a fancy car just to make you feel good, but it's nice though. I know you like to look good with your micros, but you should rock your natural look, baby, let it show. You an angel in my eyes, yeah, you got that glow. I know you always on your grind, you need to live life. Don't you want a husband, you want to be a wife? 'Cause I promise that you worth it, you are like gold. So if you never try, you'll know what the future holds. 'Cause I promise that you worth it, you are like gold. So if you never try, you'll know what the future holds.
Every night you pray to God. I know that right now it's hard. You just gotta stay strong. Yeah, make it through the storm. You just put your cape on and you fly like a dove. 'Cause you're a superwoman. You're a superwoman. You're a superwoman. You're a superwoman. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, like, how do I really feel? Like, I came a long way. I'm so blessed, like, for everything. Like, it's a blessing. Sometimes I cry, you know? Sometimes I cry 'cause I was going through a lot of things. You see me smiling on the outside, but I'm in pain. I came a long way from struggling and in them streets. What you know about being homeless in them streets? Laying in the cold, wondering how you gon' eat. With no clothes or no shoes on your fucking feet. Oh Lord, I was praying for another night. Plus I had to go to court, I had a case to fight. I was feeling like some demons try to take my life. Yeah, I thank God that he made a way. I was an alcoholic trying to drink my life away. I was taking lots of shots like a fadeaway. It's such a blessing just to be alive and here today. For real, y'all better count your blessings every day. Sometimes I cry, sometimes things are not the same. Lord help me, 'cause I'm going insane.
Times I cry. I've been through too much in my life. I've been through too much in my life. But I'm alive. And for that I thank you. And for that I thank you. Sometimes I cry. I've been through too much in my life. I've been through too much in my life. But I'm alive. And for that I thank you. And for that I thank you. Sometimes I cry. I've been through too much in my life. But I'm alive. And for that I thank you. And for that I thank you. Sometimes I cry.
All right. We just took a little short break.
I think I'm a little.
Yeah, so we are back, guys. That second song was Sometimes I Cry. The album is called 7 by Tate Edmonds. I'm gonna be putting his stuff up. Cool dude. Really cool dude. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to put it up there. I'm also going to be putting up more awareness teas, the website for that. Please go support, because soon myself and More Awareness Teas, we're going to be doing a campaign for drug addiction, drug and alcohol addiction, proceeds, trying to get some things together, but we will be having part of the proceeds go to a facility that houses, for addiction. So just to give back for each, for every donation you make, that's what it is. Every donation you make, we will be giving a shirt to each person who makes a donation. So we just got some stuff coming up to just give back, and just give back and just let our brothers and our sisters know that are going through addiction. And that's black, white. I don't give a what nationality, ethnicity, religion you are. Drugs and alcohol, any addiction, it's not healthy for our families. Mm-hmm. And especially drugs and alcohol, it's something that comes into your family and will take over when you're dealing with exactly what we're talking about, which is mental illness and depression. I was ashamed to say it, but now it's like, hey, this is my life. This is who I am. I've been diagnosed. I've said this all the time with PTSD, depression, and anxiety. Mm-hmm. And how I handle mine is maybe different than how somebody else may handle theirs. And it's okay, but I know that I can't go, to go roll a blunt up and smoke it. You know what I mean? Because I know that later on that may lead to something else, because that was something that I was using. So, just dibbling, dabbling, like, okay, I'll try it. Got an E pill, I'll take it, just to mask my hurt and pain, drinking a bottle of Henny, just to be like, okay, for the day, I'm okay. And then I'm sobbing at the end or ready to fight.
Right. So many people in our family, cousin, has been diagnosed with the same thing, including myself. And we look for, negative outlets or whatever and stuff. Not that we look for it or whatever. Sometimes it's just presented to us, and that's the easy way out.
Yeah.
Like you stated. And the way that I've been dealing for the past few years or whatever, I see a therapist. And again, you have to find the right one. You might have to go through a few.
Find the right one. I liked her stuff on Facebook, just so you know.
Oh, she's the bomb. She's very, very good. And I'm not the type of person, I don't like medication for anxiety and things like that or whatever. So I thank God that I found another way to deal with it. And my thing is, and that's why I mentioned earlier, whatever, like a journal, because sometimes anxiety is those racing thoughts or whatever and stuff. And it's like they have nowhere to go. Sometimes just writing them down.
Yeah.
The past 6 months, like a lot of people don't know, I've been kind of in my shell, whatever. I think I shared with you. I wrote a book. I think all of us have a story to tell.
Yeah, definitely.
If you want to change the characters or whatever and stuff, if you're not ready to be that honest and stuff, do so. But I think everybody should try writing their story. You're an individual, you're special or whatever and stuff, and everybody has a story to tell. Hopefully, I'm hoping to launch it on my 50th. That was my goal or my gift to myself or whatever. I'm finally done with it, but it was so therapeutic for me. And as far as like my anxiety, the depression, everything or whatever, it helps so much with that, because like I said, it goes back to what I was saying, holding all of that stuff in, and with the addiction phase of it or whatever, it stems back to that mental illness or whatever, or depression, or a lot of times, most of the time, post-traumatic stress disorder. And people don't even realize that that's what they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Because when I was first diagnosed, and that's another thing. Let me just bring that up, is because you hear about it and you're like, they crazy,
Right.
So when I was diagnosed with, I was like, damn, I'm crazy. Like, what they about to put me on?
It's not crazy. It's just like you go into the doctor to get treated for a heart attack or a stroke or whatever. Yeah. It's an illness, and people need to start treating it just as that, as an illness. Because so many times, even when, we knew somebody that they say rode the short yellow bus or whatever, we so quick because we deal with things in comedy. I was saying to Aunt Niecy the other night, I said, it's so crazy. We was laughing about it, but I said, dang, our community is like our people is messed up, because when we describe people, even he's like, oh, Lisa, oh, what you mean to cross out Lisa? So do we describe people by their flaws, and stuff? And back then it's funny or whatever and stuff. Oh, fat, such and such fat, or whatever stuff, or drug head, stuff or whatever and stuff. And I was like, dang, we didn't even think about that until we said it, and we was like, oh my God, like imagine, and that name or stigma sticks on people, whatever, but you don't know how it's affecting them.
Yes. That is really, really true. And people think, oh, we were just joking around when we was kids, but you don't know what was happening to that kid. You know what I mean?
Crying, saying your mother this, your mother that. It was so immune for us or whatever that we never knew how it would be affecting the next person.
One of our cousins was talking about it, and I'm hoping to have her on the show one day, because we were talking about that, the stigma that was put on her, and then it was like trickled down, and it's like, that's not even me, but and it's sad because it starts within the family. So, and I just feel bad for the men, because we are made differently. You know what I mean? Women, that say females mature faster than men. Mm-hmm. So just think about, if we're 13, we may not all, but we do have some that may think like at 16, but then remember, we have that boy who is 13 and he has that trauma in him, he's already not at that 13-year-old level of a 13-year-old girl, but yet he's still, now he's like at an 8-year-old level. You get what I mean? Like,
right. Women always mature faster, and you don't.
Yeah, and his brain is going at 100 miles per hour, trying to figure out, how do I handle this? How do I talk about this? And this, I'm guilty of this too. And even though I'm not a man, I'm a woman, and I'm guilty of it. And it's like, I try to make the time for my kids, because a lot of times we could be working and we are losing out on so much of what they want to talk about. And it's like, oh no, I gotta clean, I gotta cook, I gotta go do this, And dad, also, take the time to talk to your kids. That can be therapeutic for you as well. And you could be getting molested, and they could relate to you, and you're not, like, your kids is not gonna make fun of you. Let me just say that. If nobody else is not gonna make fun of you, your kids are not. And I've been very open and honest with my kids, and I didn't know how they was gonna take my sexual abuse that I went through growing up. I didn't know how to tell them. So I waited until they got older to tell them. I'm like, Dad, they're probably gonna look at me differently. I didn't know and now it's something that we talk about,
Openly, right? And they know that they can come to you and be honest and not feel that,
I'm judging them.
Right.
And that they'll find out that one of their friends experienced it. They'll be like, Mom, can they come talk to you? You know what I mean?
Right. You might be saving somebody else's life because your kids are open to what you went through. That's so true.
So I want the men to know that, it's not easy. That doesn't take away from your manhood. It doesn't. To each man, like, women, let them know, your brother, go hug your brother, go hug your cousin, go hug your uncle, because you don't know when the last time that they're going to be here to have that conversation.
And confirm that it's not their fault.
Yes, pick up a phone, send a text message, It felt good yesterday. I think my uncle texted me, and it was like, I love you so much, niece, you just don't know. And I haven't gotten a text message like that from him in a long time, because I always get it from my Uncle Iko, and every day Uncle Iko being here was texting, and so to get it from him, it just felt so good. And I was like, for me as being that woman, I'm like, I'm his niece, but guess what? I still want to love on him.
That's right.
I want to let him know you are appreciated. You are dude, you know what I mean? Like, you are that dude, and that goes to my cousins. I want the men in our family, and this is my cousin, so we're family. No matter what you're going through, find one of us that's in this family that is willing to just listen. We don't got to talk. You can tell us, I don't want you to say nothing.
Right.
I just want to. And we won't say.
Sometimes when I want to vent, I'll say, I text my nephew yesterday. And I said, no answer required, meaning that you don't even have to respond. I'm just going.
I like that one.
You know, because sometimes when men, especially my husband, I'm like, baby, we have to talk. He'd be like, oh boy, you know. And so sometimes I'll send him a text and be like, no answer required. It's taking the pressure off of them to have a confrontation or conversation and stuff, you know. And I think my nephew and my brother was going through something or whatever and stuff. And I was like, no answer required. Fix it with your dad. Life is too short. That's all, you know. He was like, auntie, we're good. And I said, I love you to the moon and back. Like, something simple like that, you know.
Or do what me and Auntie Kim do. We have voice clip all day in the inbox.
Look, she taught me how to do that. I was like, wait a minute, I see a microphone. How I do that? You can't tell me nothing now.
That's all I do is I'll voice clip you down. I will
I be so tired of texting and writing or whatever. Kim, I was like, oh, she'll send me like 10 at a time. I said, wait a minute, let me catch up. I'll read everything and then I know how to do it now. Forget that typing.
Because it's so much better.
Yeah, it gets
your text messages. If you have an iPhone, you can do that. So I just want to, I'm saying
I don't have an iPhone. My daughter's trying to get me to get an iPhone. But
yeah, you can do that. You can hold the button and just keep talking, you know? And there's no minute to it. You can just keep going. 5 minutes. And I'm saying that to say to the men and even to our women, you know, there's hotlines that you could talk to. There are, and we're going to be posting this. I promise you guys today, we're going to post it all, as much as information as we can. Go on your website for your town. There's so many places to reach out to get help. Utilize it, you know, but the voice clips I like because my Aunt Kim, no, me and her be going like, you know, we'll do that. Clips. But that's what she needs to do. Like, and I hope she don't mind me saying this, but you know, recently when I was in Minnesota, she needed to vent.
Yeah.
She needed to vent. She needed to get that off her chest. And at first she called me and we was talking. I'm like, Dad, she coming at me like this? Like, what I do to what I do?
When she get riled up, you be like, just let it go.
But then I let her calm down, you know. I let her calm down, and then she started, you know, and then it was like, okay, well, let me explain to you on like this, and then I'm like, damn, yo, I get where she's saying, yo, I get it, but I need to vent.
Slow down, to get it out. You have to have her on here because when I say she be dropping jewels, you know, she's so powerful. I said I need her to come here when my book is released. I want to have a women's group. And speaking of that, I had one maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I made these books. I think I was telling you yesterday. And I want to say this to the men because I did this or whatever at my house to the women. It was like 10 of us. And I was sitting here thinking one day and I said, you know, until we're made whole with ourselves, we're not going to be good to anybody else. So let's deal with those aspects of our lives and ourselves that make us whole. And I started breaking it down and I said, you know, first is dealing with your spirit, you know, and whatever higher power or whatever and stuff, whether it's meditation, whether it's prayer, a sanctuary, if you watch Joel Osteen on TV or whatever and stuff. And then another thing, paying it forward. You pay somebody's toll at the turnpike or whatever, you know, doing something that makes you feel good and that keeps you connected with your higher power. So that was one of the chapters. And another one was dealing with your mental health, like we're saying now and stuff. And it's being honest with what's going on with you. If you can't be honest with your spouse, find a journal. We used to call it, you know, girls' diaries or whatever and stuff. They have now with the phones. You can keep notes if you want a passcode on your phone or whatever, but you have to find a way to get it out. If you have insurance or whatever, seek counseling.
Not to cut you off, but when I was going through my last therapy session, so I'm glad you mentioned the journal on the phone. I just gotta, because my therapist, I still have our recordings from my sessions. And she made me record every session we had. And so you could go you could create a journal on there and you can even do the voice clips with that.
Right, just talking.
You want to beep, 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 beep. You want to curse somebody to F out. And just it's a great way. Cousin, the journal part is amazing. It works so well. Whether you write it, you say it. I love that.
emotionally constipated. It's like taking that pen and paper, and that's your laxative. You get it out. You feel much better after. You get that shit out. Hey, it is what it is. Get it out. Whether you have to get it out, get it out. And then another thing, I think, like financially, you have to deal with a lot of our people, whatever the credit is messed up. A lot of men take pride in being able to provide for their families. Yeah. When they get out of jail or whatever, their self-esteem is already broken. I can't get a job. I can't get a job. They won't even try. You never know what you can do until you try. Tap into, everybody has some type of talent or something that they're good at. You can have second and third streams of income tapping into that, and just dealing with your emotions. A lot of men aren't emotional, and stuff. It's okay to be emotional or whatever once you find that safe haven or that place. A lot of men, right now don't have insurance. If you have somebody that you're related to, whatever, that does have insurance, and they could go there and learn it for you and drop the jewels, each one teach one.
Yes. I'm glad that you mentioned that about insurance, because I think that's another thing. Like when my son came off of my insurance, he didn't know what to do. And I'm like, boo-boo, this is what you're going to do. Go here. So also teaching the men to be, don't always do the things for them. Teach them also how to do it. So they don't feel less of a man if they can't do it for themselves. You get what I'm saying? Because what I like to do is this. If I teach him about insurance, right? I ask my son something that I want to know about. So that way, that man is not feeling like he's got to, like, Dak, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that. So then you ask him, so what happened when the car is, and you can know it, like, you know what I mean? But I'm going to ask you just because.
Right, because I'm not going to be all the time.
I want to give that.
When my husband first came home, I was so shocked. Like, he didn't know how to pay a bill. Like, he was so used to giving the money or whatever and stuff and having people take care. And I was like, no. I said, because sometimes women need help thinking. I'm constantly writing lists. There's always something to do. Mentally you can be drained, and that drains you emotionally. Then you start snapping or whatever. They don't understand why you snap. Or you go to work, you get the money, whatever. So take some of this off of me. Girl, I left him an electric bill one day. He gave me the money. I said, no, you're going to take it back and you're going to go down such and such or whatever and pay this. He had an attitude or whatever, and he left. But 2 days later, he came back and was like, baby, remember when he felt good about it. Some things that they may not know, they wasn't taught or whatever and stuff. Sometimes, like you said, son and stuff, you have to teach them. Guess what? Now they take pride in that. Just because they don't know it, don't tell a stupid mother if you don't know whatever and stuff. Take the time to teach them.
Yes. And next week, guys, too, because I'm glad you brought up Kim real quick. Next week, y'all gonna be seeing a lot of my family up here late, in the next couple of weeks when I don't have a guest. Because I love my family, okay? From any addict to any whatever, I love them all. We got Black in our family, white, Hispanic. We got at the field. I'm like, Dad, we got everything in our family. And I love them all. And I want not just to heal my family, but I also want to help to heal someone else's family. Even if it's one person, you did your job. And next week, I'm going to be having my Aunt Kim up here. Hopefully, my cousin would join us again. And I think my Steven is going to join us again too. So we're going to be just breaking down how do we handle, because we do have mental issues in our family. It's not just our family. It's some of your family too. Y'all just ignoring it.
That's right.
It's in your families. Y'all just ignoring it. You know what I mean? There's abuse going on in your family. Y'all just ignoring it. There's brokenness. There's trauma. There's hurt. There's pain in every family. But we're so busy focused on our lives, and what we can do, that we're ignoring the cycles that need to be broken. Because you're looking like this, and you don't want to look like this because the ugly is this way. You don't want to look. You don't want to look right because it looks ugly. That's trauma. But you don't realize it that you're looking forward thinking that your grass is green, but in actuality, you got some brown patches.
It's right. It's fake. Right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
in order for you to understand how can I fix those brown patches? How can I fix that brown dirt spot over there? How can I, make these flowers grow? How can I blossom this backyard? You can't if you don't look at to the right and the left and you don't understand that right and left. You know what I mean? So it's important. So, definitely going to be having some family coming through for the next couple of weeks. And I just really want to let people know that it's okay to get help. It's okay to seek counseling. It's okay to cry, men. It's okay to cry. That's what makes you human. God didn't make you not to cry, or you wouldn't be having tear ducts. You know what I'm saying? Like, you was created, to cry. You was created to laugh, to smile, to be sad, to be angry. That is what you were created to go through your emotions. The way you crying is part of healing.
And to the men in our family, if you feel comfortable with reaching out to anybody in our family, I'm sure all the women in our family,
yes,
phone number, inbox, or whatever and stuff, please reach out to us. I'm always available. I love every last one of y'all, women and men in our family. Thank you so much for having me on here, Santa, because it's so needed and it's time. I told you before, it's time for us to get a family reunion going. I don't care who's not speaking, whatever, did all of that and just come together and love each other. I don't want to keep seeing us come together for funerals, So.
And that was another thing too, like coming together for funerals, and then we say, hey, I'm gonna call you, girl. Nice seeing you. You looking good. Here's my Facebook, but yet we don't keep in contact.
Go back into the shell.
Yes, and the thing is too is like I think forgiveness is such key in a relationship. Like I'm not gonna go into names and details, but we have family members that, hey, how you doing? But yet they're holding some animosity. That's something that happened 15, 20, 30 years ago. Let that shit go.
That's what I'm saying. If you have an issue, right, discuss it. If it's not worth discussing, then really let it go.
Because let it go. Stuff was discussed 15, 20 years ago. Let it go.
And it's still right. But that's what I'm saying. You're stuck in that victim mentality or whatever and stuff. And you want everybody to.
Well, she did this and he did that. Well, this is why I feel the way that I feel. Let's say there's 3 sides to the story. Your side, that person's side, and the truth. You get what I'm saying?
That's right.
So right. If you
find out that
the story is always right, you ain't gonna never heal.
That's right. And it could be something so petty when you think about it, right? And it's a lot of times it's so petty, and it's not even worth it.
Like like I said, in January I'll be telling my story, and I'm not sure if you know, cousin, but my mom, it was some trauma, some sexual trauma stuff with me, and now I'm learning more about my family. I'm like, dang, I think my mother has some jacked up mental issues. Was my
found out stuff last night. I'll tell you off. I'll share with you off camera. It like shocked me. It made me cry. And it's like, oh, last year I found out some more stuff or whatever, and I'm just like, dag, it's so much deeper than we ever imagined. So that's why I say we have to really start from the root and go all the way back to our childhood or whatever and stuff. And like that, you said that fake grass. Pull it up and dig in the root or whatever. That's the only way you're gonna do it.
We got to, cousin. We got to, because let me tell you guys and all who's watching, whether you're, I'm praying to God that we're doing these shows. I want to help somebody, some family, our family, another person's family. Is that we say that we like, oh yeah, I love her, I love him. You would, and it's okay. Like you're not gonna get along with all the family members in your family. Right. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But we'll be quick to fix a friendship outside of our family. You get what I'm saying? Quick to fix a relationship with the next door neighbor than somebody that's in their family. And both people may have hurt you. But you will give your family member your birthday kiss, but yet then what happens when that person go? Then you sitting at the funeral like woo, And it's like, that's
right.
So I just think that we're not going to get along. We're not always going to get along, But
right, and that's why we're human and recognize that. But we have to learn how to respect each other. We can love each other and not accept toxic behavior. And that's what family
that's the right wording for it. That is exactly the right wording for it.
Right. You don't have to allow yourself to be treated a certain way. You can remove yourself respectfully with love, I call it. If the person learns and comes back around or whatever and stuff after you try, then so be it. But it has to be with the changed behavior. It can't be with the same. But like I said, you're stepping back also to deal with your stuff.
And sometimes too, though, cousin, like I with me for myself, it's like, okay, I still see that you haven't changed. But when you're ready to change, I'm here. I love you. I'm gonna check on you. Hey, that don't mean I gotta have you. Hey, you coming over for dinner tonight?
Right.
Do that.
Right.
But I want you to know that I am here.
Right. And they get it mixed up with, oh, you must not love them if you're not tolerating the same behavior. You must not love them if you're not being around them. Like, that's not it at all. Like, I love you, but I love me enough not to accept that toxic behavior or not to accept you hurting me, And
I think that we can start sugarcoating things as well. Stop sugarcoating it, because sometimes
it is what it is.
An addict needs to hear the truth.
Right. And when you said something earlier, whatever, I thought about a lot of times, even women in our family and stuff, because I think, about this with men in relationships. The women in the family sometimes may baby the men, and I think that it's important to tell them the truth. Don't feel like because they're coming to you with one side of a story, oh, my girl is doing this and blah, blah, whatever and stuff. I deal with that with my brother. Everybody know my brother is my baby. However, I know that there's two sides to a story. I might hear his side. It might round me up like, hold up, whatever. No, I talk to his girl, whatever. So I was like, hold up. Then like a judge, you decipher what's the truth. Both of y'all are wrong and blah, blah, or you're wrong because I'm never going to say, oh, because that's my brother and blah, blah, whatever stuff, something I was guilty of before. But no, you're not going to manipulate me into taking your side or whatever. Then she kick your behind out. You over it. No, you're going to own up to you're going to own up to it. And that's a lot of times men get into these baby boy situations where, oh, I could go to my sister, I could go to my aunt, I could go to my mother or whatever and stuff, because they're going to coddle me. They're going to baby me. Sometimes you love you, but you need tough love as well. You need the truth. And you need to deal with the truth.
We got to stay out of it and let them fight their own battle.
Right. Stop calling me with your beef. Right. And I've been through that too.
Especially in relationships. You chose that woman, or you chose, like, I'm here for you. Don't put your, like, I tell, even with my kids and their girlfriends, like, y'all gonna go through y'all stuff. Disrespect my child and don't put your hands on them. But at the end of the day, I gotta pull back and I gotta be like, hey, they gotta learn that for themselves. When you talk about it, I'm here.
Right.
But I gotta throw my hands up. And that's the same thing with my brothers too. Like, I love my brothers to death. But I gotta be like, hey, that's your stuff, that's your dirt.
That's right. Deal with what you created. That's right. I read something the other day. It said that's why I don't get. I think Cardi B or whatever and stuff. They said that's why I don't get in my friend relationships no more. We jumped him, and then now they made up, and I can't come back over to the house. And I start cracking up, and I say, ain't that the truth? You had to jump him, but now y'all made up, and we can't come back. I was like,
And we also got to have our men. Love you guys. And we're talking about mental illness and depression for a reason. And men, I think a part of that is that we cradle them so much that they don't know how to have accountability.
Take responsibility.
And let me say, part of mental illness and depression is because we swaddle them in their hurt and pain. You know what I mean? Rather than let's face this. They get
used to that, and they want you to co-sign their BS.
Comfortable in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, those thorns may hurt that's stuck in your side.
Right.
but it's gonna hurt a little bit more to pull him out, but we're gonna pull him out.
The truth hurts,
but
it heals. The truth hurts, but it heals. Absolutely right.
It heals. Mm-hmm. You can't heal if the thorns are still in your side.
That's right. Take them out. That's why I say lift that rug up and get everything up out of there. Lay it on the table. Take what's going to help you grow and throw the rest away.
And I want you to know too, affirmation helps. Stand in a mirror. Like I tell women, sit there in the mirror. I'm beautiful. I'm intelligent. Mm-hmm. I am worthy. So guess what, man? You can do the same thing. I am not what happened to me. Mm-hmm. I am a strong man. You know, I am a good father. You know, and another thing too, a lot of times just because you birthed kids, and this is for women and men, just because you birthed a kid does not mean that you are an adult or a parent.
That's right. That's right.
We have to be accountable, and responsible and respect, because if you got to respect your children too. So we're breaking these cycles because, growing up, you couldn't say nothing. What the parents said went. You didn't have a voice. Give these kids a voice. That's another thing I think that men are so broken down, because if they didn't have a voice then they got women that's they don't got a voice again. You know what I'm saying? So where is that man's voice? And then if they do have a voice, it becomes abusive.
Because they want to be heard. And it's coming out the wrong way. And it's coming out the wrong way. And then just like with women, stop using the child as a pawn.
Let me sit on that. Say that again one more time. Wait.
Stop using that child as a pawn, because it did not work out, and you're not allowing him to be the father that he needs to be. Because sometimes a man will step back and I don't want no problems or whatever, and turn their back, like I tried, and then leave it alone, and then now he's a deadbeat, and allow them, whether they have financial money or whatever and stuff, and not to spend time. If you know that they're not toxic to your children, they have something to teach them and they love them, just please allow that relationship.
And I think a lot of times that's too, when men are missing their children, they tend to, that's also a part, I think, of them having a mental breakdown, missing their children. I can't live with
just like women, and then they may take it out on other women or whatever that have nothing to do with it, and it causes them, just like what Aunt Nisi said, you laying down with this one and that one, and then you be creating multiple families or women that you have no feelings for, and those kids are just stuck out there feeling like they're not wanted, and it takes two adults to come together and say, we laid down, we created this, have come to an understanding that it did not work out, but that has nothing to do with the child.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the child. Like, as my experience or whatever, and rest in peace to my child's father. But, we broke up when she was like 2. He would post pictures or things like that or whatever. And I went to go on that page. So it's like, you don't even know her favorite color. You ain't even, or whatever and stuff. I said, just let him have his, you celebrating every Father's Day. And let's be real. You were not there for her, and stuff. And I think, and this is to the men that stepped in with kids that were not their own and took that role and responsibility. Like, I salute you.
And another thing, you know what I do? I'm telling you, I do this all the time, and I'm encouraging our women to do this. If you see a man with their children, and say they're in the grocery store, like yesterday actually, I was at the grocery store, and this man was explaining to his daughter the difference in the Gatorades. And just teaching her stuff about, the electrolytes and all of that stuff. I found it so adorable. And so I just wanted to say, sir, I don't know you, but I just want to say, I love what I see you doing with your daughter. You're doing a great job.
Right. They have the videos with the father-daughter dances and stuff like that. That they remember for the rest of their lives.
Yes. So encourage that man when you see them at Dunkin' Donuts, or if you see them at the park, especially if you see, not everything that you see may be good, but when you see it and you feel that, say something. And I like that you said about, sometimes I do that. It makes you feel good. And when I'm feeling those moments, I'll bless somebody where, their grocery list is, $100. And I got an extra $100 in my pocket. I'm going to pay forward. I remember one time I bought this lady. I said, I'm going to take the lady's order behind me. I bought her coffee. From whatever she ordered, it was coffee, and I don't know what else she ordered. And she honked me down, girl. And I was, thank you, my yes, and it's making somebody's day. But it made me feel good, not to brag and boast about it. I never posted it on Facebook or nothing. It made my day to know that I made her day by just paying for. I think her order was like less than $5. You know what I mean? But the fact that it made her day.
When coming home from work, I used to do the same thing, like just take a $5 bill. Instead of wait for change, pay for 4 cars in back of me, the dollar toll or whatever and stuff. They speeding up or whatever to say thank you, whatever. And it wasn't to brag about it. It's just you never know what somebody else is going through. You never know if they didn't have enough for it or whatever. It cost them a $25 ticket. Something so simple can mean so much to somebody else. I was having such a bad day at work one day. I'll never forget. I was like, oh my God, I think I'm going to quit, whatever. The toll person was like, hey, how are you? Just because they smiled at me and said, how are you? I was like, wow, whether they knew me or not, somebody cared to ask that. Somebody cared to smile at me or whatever. It turned my day around. I said, I'm not going to bring this home.
And we need to give that to our men. And like I said, some men, don't get me wrong. I ain't saying, we're talking about the men that we know that are hurting.
Mm-hmm. And that one
we know they are a damn good man.
Mm-hmm.
Some just like power. So I want to make that so clear, because there's some women that I personally know that feel like they gotta fix their relationship or they gotta fix their marriage, and yet their man, or spouse is a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Let me just keep it real with you. But then there's some that are just so broken into pieces and they need help.
Right.
The difference can't know different. You're broken yourself. So that's definitely one. Number 2 is to research and get counseling. Give them the resources. Here, babe, the right time. Sometimes just laying in bed and cuddling, may be the right time. I just been noticing that you've been a lot angry lately. You want to talk about anything? Are you okay? It's not what you say, it's how you say it,
how it's delivered. Or it's maybe starting off a question instead of making them feel like you're intrusive. Just say, is it safe to say? And then ask your question instead of coming right at them because they're like, oh, you interrogate me or whatever and stuff. Sometimes, like you said, it's a way to say it. It's the delivery.
And I think too, because they're quick to ask about another woman or where you been, who you was with,
Right, instead of, are you okay? I was worried.
Yes.
It's a way to ask or deliver or whatever to make them drop their guard and open up to you. And speaking of fathers, and like we said in our family, whatever, we can relate. My father was on drugs, and stuff when him and my mom got divorced. And I remember, and this I'll never forget, he was in the middle of his drug binge and he lived 6 hours away in Ohio, 7 hours away. I'm graduating high school and me and my friend took the bus or whatever to the graduation. My mother was going to come and everything. I stepped off that bus. My father was standing in front of that school with a suit on. I will never forget that. I don't care what nobody called them, what nobody said or whatever and stuff. I say real men make moves, not excuses. So regardless of what you're in, don't feel like it's over for a relationship with your children. Don't feel like it's over with a relationship with your family. Some people you may have feel like they've thrown you away. Just know that it doesn't have to be family to say that we love you. And there's always a second chance. People going through depression, or I remember 17, I tried to kill myself, going through depression or whatever. Somebody told me, and I'll never forget, why kill yourself today when tomorrow can be a better day? That stuck with me for the rest of my life. It can be one quote, that you hold on to, that'll help. So you never know. Just be kind to the next person. You never know what somebody's going through. And, just show love.
Love is important. I'll being judgmental. Because you
Mhm.
wouldn't want somebody to be judgmental to you.
Right. Especially if you don't know what they're going through.
Exactly. So I ask everyone that watched today, whether it's a replay, if it's a replay, say replay. I ask you to share this, comment, subscribe on my YouTube and the Facebook, Saturday Brunch with Santa. If you would like to be a guest on the show, like I'm open to many conversations because I always like to talk about what we can do to help our communities, our lives, you know. So just reach out. But I want to just say this is that I'm asking everyone, including myself, to reach out to someone, one of the male figures in your family. Whether it's through text, whether it's through inbox, maybe it could be 3, it could be 4, whatever, 1, it doesn't matter. Reach out, send a text, an inbox. There's so many ways now to get voice clip. Hey, the voice clip. You know, there's so many ways to reach out and just check on them.
I would ask the same too, that maybe the women in our family reach out to a male in our family, and it's so many things that you can pick out that's negative. Just maybe leave a voice clip or whatever, a message, and tell them what you're proud of them about. You know, that goes a long way. That goes a long way. You know, just reach out and tell them that you're there for them. Tell them that you love them. You know, you never know if that's the last message that they will hear. You know, when I leave my family members or whatever, whether it's on a phone or Facebook or whatever, I say, I love you. That's always going to be the message. I'm never looking over my back. Just like my uncle, my cousin Iko. I love you so much. I love you. I know that he knew that I loved him. I promised to come to his wedding. You know, we lost so many family members back to back. You know, we can't deal with no more. I love and
I think that's the truth.
Every one of my family members, and my prayers and thoughts are with you. It's so hard for our family, but we strong, we resilient, and we're gonna plan this family reunion with love. I love all of y'all. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me, cousin. I appreciate it. Next Saturday, we will definitely be covering this again. But I think next Saturday, I'm looking for more of like, we're going to be not touching on the men, but then more of like just of our family, and then just hearing from others, with even from the women's side. Because a lot of times we have some things too that I'm going to just say this real quick, is that, you know, when we were growing up, we were the ones who had to be the parent, you know, so I was 9 years old taking care of my siblings, you know, so there's also another pressure, and then mom doesn't know what's going on in between, you know, so it's a lot that we need to talk about, guys, and just really hoping that it could relate to someone. But again, I love what my cousin said, you know, hit somebody up, tell them something positive about themselves. Everything don't got to be negative, you know, it don't got to be negative. Forgive somebody today, call somebody. It could be a male or female. Forgive somebody in your family today, sincerely. Don't just say it because we're not promised tomorrow. I can guarantee you, when I had that conversation with my uncle, the next day, with everything, I thought we was going to finish our conversation. You know, but to know he's not here the next day, you know, you just like, it made me really view life. This was just one that hit me so hard. Like, there's literally a hole in my heart. And it's like, I got to do something. Like, I got to love different. Like, that's how I feel. Like, I feel like I got to love different. I got to love.
Take advantage of every day.
Yes. I got to love more with forgiveness. Like, I got to love more with, and it could be like, well, it's draining, but it's not that. When it's genuine, it's not draining. That's the thing that people forget. When it's genuine, it doesn't drain you. So when you love genuinely, and whatever you do is from your heart, and you don't got to talk about it, you don't got to post about it, and you do it from your heart, it's not going to drain you. Why? Because God is giving you the strength, so it would never drain you.
Yes, that's right. And sometimes it comes spontaneously, where you need to share or whatever and stuff. You never know. And a lot of times I try to share something that's funny or something about my family or whatever and stuff. Try to touch somebody else that might be having a bad day, you know, or whatever and stuff. I love to laugh. You know, our family is just, you know, and yeah, I just like to share crazy, man. But it's nothing like when I say laughter is medicine, it's just so good for the soul. It's true, it truly is.
Yes.
And me and Aiko used to always share funny videos and stuff like that and go back and forth. And after he passed, of course, like I made a post or whatever, how we always go back to those messages, to those pictures, or when we want to pull up everything to try to hold on to them. And it's so ironic that the last video he sent me, we always open the videos and then we, you know, tell whatever. The last one he sent me wasn't a video of anything else. It was actually a video of him. And I didn't even open it until after he passed. And I opened all the videos. He sent me a video of him go-karting or whatever and stuff. And it just made me smile. Like, I know that he was recovering. He was doing so good. And I think, you know, and I really strongly feel like he was cleaning up to get ready. You know, he was enjoying his life. You know, and that's what we have to learn how to do, because we're not promised tomorrow. Definitely. Love each other and enjoy our life.
And so with that being said, I thank you, cousin. We're going to be posting some resources. Remember affirmation. Remember to write a journal. Get someone to talk to. Get some therapy. And just know, men, you are loved. You are appreciated. And we can all do better. You know, we can all do better. And I like to always write, you know, the positive things about myself. And I don't like to use the word negative, but the things that I can work on, that I can do better on. And if you take those one by one and you figure it out, how can you break it down? What do I need to do to make this better? And it'll help you get more clarity on what you need to do to make that part better. And just know, men, that we all have failure. We're all not perfect. We all have trauma. And your trauma does not make you. And you are a survivor. You have a testimony. So start your healing today. Start your healing today. And to the men in our family, I love you. You are such amazing men, with or without the traumas, with or without your addictions.
Extremely talented.
Yes, extremely talented. Amazing fathers, you know. But we're going to just let you know that us women working on ourselves so we can be there for you guys in such a healthier and more better and clearer way. So we're here for you. Just know we are here for you. And cousin, again, thank you. I love you.
I love you so much.
We will definitely look forward to seeing you guys on next week. On Saturday, same time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please go subscribe on YouTube to Saturday Brunch with Santa. Please share this video. It's very important that we start helping each other to heal. I love you, cuz.
I love you. Thank you so much. I was gonna look one sip left. I just want to add one more thing. If this can if this can help any relationships, whether in your family or marriages or whatever, this really helped us. If you Google 5 love languages, the quiz, and take that, everybody I learned that everybody has a different love language.
Yes.
You know, and you have to learn what your love language is, so you know how your partner is showing love in their love language and then in yours. That was really helpful. So I think it'll be helpful to a lot in improving relationships and stuff with family and your spouse. And also, I'm sorry, my daughter, and this goes to family or whatever, who have you, Cant Photography. Make sure you check her out. Lowercase I, Kan Photography. And I love you, cousin, and thank you so much.
I love you too, boo. We're gonna post her information up there too on the site. So
thank you.
Definitely see and support. And like I said, I know we keep going, but I'm gonna say this. I want the women to also know that it's not your responsibility to do the healing for that man. Just know that healing begins with yourself. Love begins with yourself, and the more that you put into yourself, your blinders will be removed. Your heart will be more clear, and your strength will be built on something bigger. You know, your worth and your value, you will see more in you. And not to say not to help your men. We're here to help them. But just know, ladies, please, that mental health also begins with you. So that's something that we definitely going to be talking about next week. But, man, we love you.
Love you so much.
I love you.
I love you too. Thank you so much for having me.
I was
nervous, but
see him on the next one.
Yes, please get Kim. She got some jewels to drop. Okay.
Yes. Love you.
Love you too. I'll check in with you later. Okay.
Okay, honey.